Good morning, everyone. Jason Cannon here at LFS. Thank you again for tuning in to another one of our 101 webinars. Today, we're going to be going over the EAP process. We're really excited to bring this to you. It's a webinar that you're going to be found that has tons of information in it, going to be very valuable to you. So we hope you get a lot out of this. In getting started, as usual, we have our questions box. So please feel free, if you have any questions at any point during this presentation, feel free to type them in. The more, the better. We also do have a handout. So if you see that in the handout section, you want to open it up and either print out a physical copy to keep with you, or you can save a copy to your desktop. It'll give you some good, valuable information and kind of a recap of what we're going to go over here today. Lastly, anybody that is registered for this call, you will receive a recorded copy of it emailed to you later in the day. Okay, so with that being said, let's jump on in here. The EAP process. How does the EAP process work? When do you decide when to use it? And what can you expect from using this EAP in general? Getting started, we have some definitions we want to make sure that everybody fully understands. Some of these can be used generically, and with that being said, sometimes they're used incorrectly. So before we even get into the presentation, I've got a few things we'd like to go over from a definition standpoint to make sure you understand exactly what these terms mean so that you understand them appropriately and you can use them appropriately in your everyday life. So getting started, an EAP. EAP is simply an electronic application. This could be a full application or it could be a shortened drop ticket. In either case, EAP is simply an electronic application. IGO and Applicant, these are systems that are used to complete EAPs that are found linked on our website. So if you hear the term IGO or if you hear the term Applicant, those are simply the systems that are used to run the e-applications. After that, we've got Drop Ticket. This is an application process, as you can see. It is a form of submitting an application to get it into the door, not only to us, but to the carrier. It's a very shortened application. You collect minimal information, and then your client is going to be doing a telephone interview to collect the rest of the information. And we'll go over that in detail here in just a few moments. And lastly, we have accelerated underwriting. Accelerated underwriting is an underwriting process usually associated with the drop ticket application. If the carrier that you're applying at offers accelerated underwriting, and if your client meets that criteria, then your client can go through that process. We're going to go in more in depth in that as well, but please don't misunderstand the fact that accelerated underwriting does not mean guaranteed issue. Like I say, we're going to go more in depth on that, but sometimes those two phrases get used interchangeably and they're very, very different. Okay. So as far as the drop ticket goes, how do you decide when is the right time to use a drop ticket and when should you not use a drop ticket? In general, drop tickets really are ideally best suited for cases that are more simple, streamlined, straightforward type cases, not giant face amounts, not anything crazy out of the blue, just straightforward applications. So with that being said, we want to typically have younger clientele, somebody in their ages, maybe 18 to 50 years old, in good health is always better for a drop ticket. Also, again, with a streamlined, you want to have the insured and the owner be the same. These are interview-related applications, so your client has to be willing and able to to go through this 30 to 45-minute interview. They also have to be able to e-sign documents, have enough tech savvy to receive emails, e-sign what is sent to them, and then send it back to the carrier. So when do we not want to use a drop ticket? Well, it's pretty much the opposite of everything we just talked about there. If you have older clients, they're probably not going to be a good fit for the for the drop ticket process. Also, if they have any significant health history, you definitely do not want to use the drop ticket. You'll want to most likely go with the full application in that situation. Smaller face amounts are always better. If you have really large cases that you're writing, maybe 2 or 3 million in face and more, you don't want to go with drop ticket. You want to go full application there. And again, in keeping with the streamlined, simple approach, if you have business cases, maybe something a little more difficult or tricky like a buy-sell or a key man, you definitely do not want to use the drop ticket system. Your clients have to be able to and be willing to do an interview and to receive, e-sign, and submit documents. And lastly, if you have any clients that you've shopped here with us at LFS and we've gotten tentative offers back from you, you definitely do not want to use a drop ticket process. You always want to go full application in that scenario. When it's all said and done, You know your client better than we do here. And so when you're doing your field underwriting, when you're assessing your clients, just really keep some of this criteria in mind and just make sure to stick to it, because if your client falls outside of these guidelines, the drop ticket process could not only be messy for them, but it might simply just not work at all. So when you're going to do drop tickets, you want younger, healthier clients with pretty simple straight-lined applications that they're going for. As far as EAP options, we know these are electronic applications, and there are two options. You've got your full application there on the left. That's the exact same as if you were to print out a full paper app. You're just simply typing in information instead of handwriting it. And then on the right-hand side, you see the drop ticket with the potential for accelerated underwriting there. As far as the full EAP goes, this, like I just said, is no different than a paper application that you would print out. It's just that you're going to be typing in your information. So you're going to pull up your application, and you see the carriers we have listed there on the right that offer full EAPs. You're going to fill it out just like you would with a paper app and submit it to us. One of the nice things about using EAPs is they do have smart technology built into them. So based on how you answer your questions, the system will automatically know to prompt you to say you have to answer this next question, or it may even roll out another question or two based on what you answered. The beauty of the EAP is that once you are done, you cannot submit the application until it's in good order, until everything is filled out completely. So for you, the agent, it really gives you that peace of mind of knowing that once you send that app to us, you don't have that worry of, oh no, did I forget an answer? Did I leave something out? You're going to have a full, complete, in good order application. And also, like we talked about a moment ago, if this is an app that you've, if this is a client that you've shopped before, you definitely want to do the full app and not the drop ticket. Once you've submitted your full application to us, we're going to go through the same process that we would if it was a paper application, where we at LFS are going to order the exam, we're going to order any other requirements, and then allow this application to flow through the fully underwritten process. If you want to do the drop ticket, this is a shortened application, usually a page or two, of really just basic information that you're collecting on your client. You're going to get that all done. You're going to submit it to us. It's also going to go to the carrier. And then your client should know to expect a phone call from the carrier within about 24 hours. And the carrier is going to do that telephone interview. And like we said, that telephone interview most likely is going to be somewhere from about 30 to 45 minutes long. What they're going to be doing in that interview is collecting all of the information that you traditionally would have collected on a full application. Plus, they're most likely going to be going through the Part 2 or Part B questions that the examiner would normally be asking when they are out doing their paramed exam. So when your client is getting ready for this, make sure to know that they need to answer that phone call as soon as it comes in, and be prepared with all their information at hand so that they can answer all the questions and provide all that information to the carrier. They actually, most of the carriers provide an interview guide if you or your client is maybe a little bit worried about the interview, not sure what you need to have collected ahead of time. If you would like one of those guides and you're not sure where to find it, reach out to us and we'll make sure to get one over to you that is carrier specific so that you can provide that to your client. Your client and yourself can both review it, make sure that they know everything they're going to need so that they'll be prepared when the interview happens. Some of the things that they're going to need to have at hand is a list of their medications. They're going to need to have a list of all their doctors as far as their doctors' addresses, names, phone numbers, that sort of thing, because that is all going to be asked in this interview. So the more of that they have, the better. It's just going to make sure that this process goes as quickly as possible. Once that interview is completed, all the information that you collected on the drop ticket, as well as everything collected in the telephone interview, will be reviewed by an underwriter. And if that carrier offers accelerated underwriting, and if your client meets that accelerated underwriting criteria, they're going to be referred to the accelerated underwriting process, which means their vitals and labs are going to be waived. This doesn't mean the policy is automatically ready to be issued. It just means their exam is going to be waived. That's all. They are still going to process through the regular underwriting flow where additional information may be required. If your client does not meet the accelerated underwriting criteria, that's fine. They're just going to be moved down, and the fully underwritten process will begin from there, where we here at LFS will order the exams, the APS records, anything else that may be needed to complete a fully underwritten plan. Just know, Accelerated underwriting is not guaranteed to everybody. So it's really in your best interest to make sure that you let your client know, hey, let's prepare to go through the fully underwritten process, and best case scenario is you may qualify for accelerated. But don't set your client up for that fall in that almost feeling guaranteed they're going to go through accelerated. It is an option. It's definitely something worth sharing with your client, but don't give them the idea that they're guaranteed to get through into that process, because if they don't, it's going to be a letdown for them, and in the end, probably you as well. As far as accelerated underwriting goes, you'll see we've reached that point. The carrier has all the information from the drop ticket and the interview. The underwriter is going to review everything. If the client meets the criteria, again, the vitals and labs will be waived, and then the client's application will process down the line. And if anything else is required in underwriting, we'll make sure to get that ordered and taken care of, or reach out to you if we need something from you. If they are not approved for accelerated underwriting, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean this is going to be a declined policy necessarily. It just means that the carrier needs to have full vitals, labs, all of that ordered, which we will take care of for you here at LFS. What happens after you submit a drop ticket application? This is important for you to know, not only for your own peace of mind, but also to let your client know what's going to be happening for them. You're going to submit your application, your drop ticket. The carrier is going to reach out. They're going to do that interview. So I can't state it enough. Your client has to be willing and able to do this telephone interview. We all know that life happens and people get busy with jobs and soccer practices and piano recitals and everything else we have going on. But if your client cannot or will not do their interview, this application will not move forward at all. It will be stuck right there and nothing is going to happen. So we got to make sure that your client is going to answer the phone when the carrier calls, and they're going to do that interview, and they're going to do it as thoroughly as possible. Make sure they're prepared with their medications, with their doctor's information, with anything else that's going to be valuable information that needs to be provided to the underwriting team at that carrier. Once the carrier receives all that information, again, if the client is eligible for accelerated underwriting, vitals and labs will be waived, and then they'll move right on down the line in underwriting to hopefully ultimately get that policy issued as quickly as possible. If they're not eligible, it's okay. They're just going to go through the fully underwritten process. We here at LFS will order the exam, the labs, the APSs, anything else that is needed. And one more time, not to be too redundant for you here, but accelerated underwriting is not guaranteed. It's just an option. So when you're doing your field underwriting, that's when you really can get a good feel of if my client is going to be a good candidate for this process or not. And, you know, sometimes things do come out of left field and trip us up a little bit, but just make sure you're doing as much homework as you can. Ask all those questions that you normally would on any application, whether it was full or shortened, just to really assess your client to see if they're going to meet those accelerated underwriting criteria or not. And again, if they don't get through the accelerated process, that's okay. They're going to go through the fully underwritten process. Just really set yourself up to be the hero here. Let your clients know, yeah, accelerated is an option, but it's not guaranteed. So let's go into this with the mindset that you're going to have to go through full underwriting, and then if the carrier assesses you and they decide you fit the accelerated criteria, then great. Your client's going to be happy and you're going to look like a hero. So just keep those things in mind. Lastly, regardless of what type of application you submit, whether it's a drop ticket, whether it's the full e-app, or even a paper app, you are going to begin receiving these LFS status emails. Some of you may be familiar with these already. Others of you may be brand new and you haven't seen these. In either case, you're going to want to make sure to pay attention to your email box and open these up as soon as you get them. The sooner the better. We've got some status meanings over here on the right side that you'll see define what the different statuses are on the email itself. And in the top, right in the middle in bright red, you'll see if something is needed of you, it'll say agent action required. Usually they're pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions on these, maybe you don't understand what's being asked of you, or you just need a little bit more help, don't worry about that. Pick up the phone, send us an email, let us know what you have a question about. Here we've got the phone number to our main office, as well as Lori and Karen's email addresses. They are going to be more than happy to help answer any questions that you have on those status emails or anything else in this process for that matter. So don't ever hesitate. Don't worry. Don't feel embarrassed. If you don't understand what's on your status email, that's fine. Give us a call. Let us know what your question is, and we'll make sure that we clarify anything that's on there so that you know what's needed of you so that you can get it as quickly as possible. So with that being said, I do have some questions that have come through here, so I'm going to jump into those right now. And if you have any that have come up during the call or anything that's prompted from these questions, please don't be bashful. Feel free to submit your questions, and we'll get them all answered for you. The first question I have here is a really, really good one. Do I have to be contracted before I can take an e-app? Ideally, the answer to that question is yes. It's always best to be contracted ahead of time, but we know that that doesn't always happen sometimes. If you're not contracted with the carrier that you're going to be doing an e-app on, but you know what carrier it is you're going to be taking the app, reach out to us, either Karen or Lori or both of them, and let them know, hey, I'm going to be taking an e-app or a drop ticket or whatever you're going to be doing from such and such carrier, and I'm meeting with the clients in a couple of days or something. Let us know what carrier you're going to be riding with, and we can get that appointment process started for you. You have to at least be in the system before you can take the e-app. So that's a great question. I'm going to answer it one more time just so everybody's crystal clear on this. Do you have to be appointed with the carrier before you can take an e-app? Ideally, the answer is yes, but if you're not, reach out to Karen and Lori as quickly as possible. Let them know what carrier you're going to be riding with so that they can get your appointment process started so that when you do meet with the clients, you'll already be in the system and you can take that application. Also, it's very important if you're an agent in Montana, some agents do require you to be contracted ahead of time. You can't do the call us a day or so in advance and just get the appointment process started. You have to be fully contracted. So if you are a Montana agent and you want to take an e-application and you're not contracted with that carrier yet, reach out to us as soon as possible and we will get that going to make sure that you are actually fully contracted so that you can take that e-app. That's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Let's see, secondly here, what kind of questions are asked in the phone interview? Great question. Just basically what it comes down to is, depending on the carrier, most applications are pretty similar, but the interview is going to be asking all the questions that you normally would have asked on a full application. Because a drop ticket, you are only collecting the bare bones basic information about your client. So the interview is going to collect everything else that you would have normally collected on a full app. They're also going to be doing the Part 2 or Part B questions that the examiner would ask. And again, like we talked about earlier, if you're a little nervous about the interview process, or if your client is a little bit nervous and not sure what to expect, not sure what to prepare with, reach out to us. Let us know what carrier you're going to be taking this application through. And we do have interview guidelines that we can send over to you that you can share with your client to let them know the questions that are going to be asked of them and the information that they're going to need to have ahead of time so that they can complete their interview with the carrier. Here's another one. This is a good question as well. Can e-apps be used for term and permanent insurance? The answer to that is yes. Either one of those is fine. So again, I'm going to give us a minute here to see if we can get any more questions rolling in. These are great so far, so please send any over if you have any more. We do have the e-app process handout in the handout section there. I think it's a very valuable tool for you, especially if you're new to e-apps and drop tickets. So if you are interested, click on that, print out a hard copy or save it to your desktop just so you can have that reminder of how this whole process works with you until you get fully comfortable with it. Also, if you are new to LFS, reach out to us and schedule your one-on-one onboarding call. We will walk you through the website. Usually takes about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. We'll show you where everything is located on there so you know where everything is that you're ever going to need in your day-to-day life. Answer any questions you have about how to work with us, about where to find information, whatever you need, we'll do that for you. If you've already had your onboarding call and maybe you just feel like you need a refresher, that's fine too. Give us a call or send us an email. Let us know, maybe a couple times and days that are best for you, and we'll make sure that we work you into our calendar at the time that's most convenient for you to get you all set up there. Also, we are in the process of updating the LFS website in general. It's getting a lot more streamlined, a lot more simple to follow, and so you will notice some changes here over the next little while. We already have some of those changes implemented as we speak. So when you jump on there, don't be worried if things look a little bit different. We're just doing it to make the website that much more accessible, that much more easy to follow. We do have all 3 training videos from the first quarter where we went over products, those are housed on the website as well. We've got 3 videos which consist of term, and then the second one is permanent coverage, which is basically GUL and whole life, and the last one is IUL. These videos we try to keep pretty short and sweet. They're about 5 to 6 minutes long, packed with information. They're really a short and condensed version of these webinars that you've been attending. They're great for you, the agent. So if you want to brush up on some of these subjects, they don't take a lot of time out of your day. And like I say, they have great information in them that if you're, say you're interested in writing IUL, but you really feel uncomfortable with it, my suggestion, watch the IUL video 1 or 2 times. You'll really get a lot of info out of that. And then if you have questions after that, reach out to us, and then we can go a little bit more in depth for you there. Also, on June 5th, so 3 weeks from today, we're going to be doing our next webinar. We're not going to schedule anything with the holiday coming up here shortly. So June 5th is our next call. We're going to be reviewing and going back over the field underwriting process. So if you missed that the first time through, that's going to be the subject in a few weeks, and we'd love to have you there. As a reminder, anybody that has registered for this call, you will be receiving a recorded copy of it later today, so keep an eye out for that. I haven't had any more questions come in, so this is kind of your last chance. If you have any, shoot them over my way. But if you do have questions that come up later, maybe you're driving to an appointment and something pops into your head, reach out to us. Shoot us an email, give us a phone call, let us know what your question is, and we'll make sure we get those answered for you. All right. Well, thank you all again for your time. It's very valuable for us to have you on here. We really appreciate it. We know your time is important, so we appreciate you sharing some of that with us. Have a wonderful day, and we look forward to talking to you again in 3 weeks. Thank you, everyone.